Hello and welcome to The Hop, a marketing podcast. I'm your host, Matt Taylor Farrington, and the owner of Purple Bunny Marketing. And today I'm joined by Sam from our team in social media and advertising. And we're going to talk about how you can harness user-generated content in social media, in your advertising, just about in any form of your marketing, correct?
Yeah, pretty much anything, yeah.
All right. So first of all, for those who don't understand it, and obviously some people don't, we call it UG content, but what exactly is user-generated content and how does it differ from your traditional marketing content?
Yep. So user-generated content is pretty self-explanatory.
Yes.
It's content generated by the user instead of
Yes.
by an agency or the company itself.
Yep.
How it differs from traditional marketing content is pretty much what I just said. It's not created by an agency, it's created by the end user. So that could be a user of a product like a car or a user of your service like a gym goer, for example.
Yep.
There.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess from the differences there between, you know, you making an ad versus or filming something in the gym yourself versus your client doing it, why should a business jump on and use, especially small to medium business, why should they consider embracing using user-generated content as part of their marketing strategy?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of benefits to it, of course. One of them would be that you have more relatable content to a lot of end users because you've got someone real who's actually using your product or service instead of something that's sort of manufactured by the company or an agency. It can make you, it can help you connect with your community more as well, like local community content, especially if you're a very small business in a small town. And it saves you a lot of time.
Correct.
Using user-generated content. Yeah.
I think, you know, in small to medium business where your team's smaller, sometimes the marketing, let's be real, gets put aside sometimes from day-to-day operationals. So if you can harvest and utilize content that your users are generating to help boost your marketing strategy, then it's a win-win really. But not only that, I think like what you said at the start, it builds that authenticity behind
it does.
the content, you know, because it's actually someone real using it rather than a staged filmed video that a marketing company does where someone acts surprised because they've just opened a box from a product versus someone legitimately excited because they've received your product, they've opened it, they've done it. It's just more authentic,
it is,
I guess.
It is. And I know for me personally, if I'm looking at like a pair of headphones or something, you know, the first thing I'm looking for is Reddit or actual user-generated opinions and reviews. So if a company is sharing authentic reviews, obviously crediting the user that created it, I'm far more likely to engage with it or trust it than something a company puts out. Because not that companies lie or anything, but you're certainly going to trust someone not affiliated a little bit more, wouldn't you? You know, than a company's opinion because they've got something to sell. So,
I agree, and I think, I just think it's a way more authentic way to kind of see what's going on, and I kind of think it resonates better. As in, I've compared content, and sometimes the user generated stuff actually outperforms, so it works quite well.
It does in my case.
Yeah,
for me personally, yeah.
All right. So obviously, you know, there's always with anything that's, you know, different, there's always misconceptions out there. What are some of the misconceptions around user-generated content that might be currently discouraging business owners from utilizing it, I guess?
So you may think you need to, you know, sign media release forms and whatnot, or get a little bit complicated with some of the content you're using.
Yes.
I wouldn't say you need to do that. I do think it's good to ask permission from people and to credit them in it. So
definitely tag them.
Definitely tag people or even ask them how they'd like to be credited too.
Yes.
I wouldn't recommend just grabbing stuff without permission, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
So you might feel discouraged thinking that there's a lot of forms or processes or official things, channels that you might need to go to get that stuff. But no, you can pretty much message most people on social media and just say, hey, I'm from X business. Can we share this? We'll tag you. And most people are going to say yes. I mean, I would say yes if someone messaged me that.
Yeah, correct. I think the other thing is if you don't hear back from them, share it. But if they then reach out to you and ask you to remove it, remove it. You know, there's no point upsetting someone, especially if they have purchased your product or your service and they're using it and they're excited and they love it and they want to share it to their audience, but they don't necessarily want you to share theirs, then honor that and respect that because you're still getting the views anyways from their content.
Yeah, you are.
So I think, I agree. I think definitely better to approach first, ask permission.
I would say so.
See if you can share it, utilize it, or even ask, hey, would you mind if I utilize this in an upcoming campaign? Really loved it. And I mean, there's more and more these days content creators out there. We had a session earlier, or a podcast earlier, where we talked about micro-influencers. And, sometimes when you reach out to them, they may explain that there is rates attached to what they're doing as well. And then that becomes a different discussion, but it becomes a discussion where you determine whether you're prepared to buy that content, I guess. To utilize.
A lot of opportunities, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So how can user-generated content, I guess we kind of touched on this a little bit, but enhance authenticity and I guess build more trust in a brand? And I guess why is it important for customer relationships?
Yeah, as you said, we sort of touched on this before, but it's just because it's real content, real opinions by real people that were not prompted by a company to promote the product. So, if I'm posting a review to go back to headphones, if I'm posting a review of headphones that I haven't been asked to post, then, that's something of me as an individual private consumer has individually decided to put out there to let people know that I like, or probably wouldn't use as dislike, but like or dislike a certain product. So, I would say that's how it builds trust, is because it's real, it's authentic, it's not manufactured, it's not, generally the company is not affiliated with the creation.
Yes.
Once you share it, there's some affiliation there, but as long as it's made clear that was independently made,
Correct.
It's still something that I would trust more. Like, there's no problem sharing positive opinions of your product, because at the end of the day, when it was created, it wasn't created in affiliation with the company. They're just sharing it.
Yeah,
basically.
Agreed. I think it's also important to share a balance of stuff. Like, I don't know, I see more and more these days where companies are actually embracing the fact that someone may not 100% endorse their product, but loves their product, promotes it. And there may be something like they say, hey, it needs this enhancement or this change or whatever. But it's real. That's a reality. And the reality is that a lot of people may actually be thinking that.
Yeah.
But by sharing that and embracing that as your brand, you're building trust, because people are going, okay, cool, this company's actually acknowledging it. They see it, they understand it, and they're not just hiding behind it and just sweeping under the rug the issues, So I do think it's important. And I think it's also, we've talked about this before about client relationships and stuff, and talking about the way you handle it. There's some very clever ways to handle when you get feedback and take it on board and own it. So, yeah. All right. So what practical steps can a business take to start generating user-generated content? Like, how could you provoke the market, I guess, to want to share content for you?
A pretty common way that people have probably seen before is to run a competition that requires you to share and tag a business for user-generated content. Another way that you've also probably seen is offering incentives like discounts. So if you've ever been to a restaurant that says, hey, tag us on Facebook, share your food on Instagram and tag us and we'll give you 5% off.
Yes.
Or something similar to that, that's a way that you can spark user-generated content or get the ball rolling.
Yes.
And then hopefully from there, people are more likely to, post that kind of stuff. If you're looking to do it without price incentives or competitions, especially in like the restaurant industry, trying to get on trends or having something kind of unique and trendy, photogenic about your restaurant. Like, for example, there's a Mexican place that I go to sometimes, and they have this thing called the Anaconda burrito, which is a really long burrito, really long. And I talked to the owner about it, and it's literally designed to get people to be like, oh my God, look at this crazy burrito, and
take
post
photos
it and tag him and that kind of thing. And there's no incentive that he's got to post that. It's just, like noteworthy in of itself. So having unique kind of noteworthy things can also spur it. But the most effective way would definitely to have incentive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. I think, you see it all the time now. Even merchandising businesses, they're like, oh, if you do an unboxing video before your thing arrives, get 10% off your next order, or, whatever it is. Yeah, and people will. Yeah. But it's a great way for them to get real, authentic content that's created by the user that they can then utilize and share in marketing. But it's also a great way for them to tap into an audience, because if they've got to post it, they're posting it to that person's audience, so their audience is seeing it and then they're sharing it out. It just helps magnify the content. So,
and their friends might ask them about it in the comments. They have
100%.
real people responding to the comments instead of their company as well, which I trust a lot more, to be honest.
Yeah.
Personally, because like I said before, companies have a incentive to sell you things. I'm not saying they're lying. We're not lying. But there's an incentive there. So like you're going to trust someone more who's actually put their hard-earned money ahead to purchase something.
Correct.
Than someone who's trying to sell it to you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. 100%. There we go. I worked one in, Nick, just before the end. All right.
You hadn't said it. He hadn't said it.
I hadn't said it, but I had to get one in just in case.
We almost had a clean episode.
Close, but no cigar. All right. So I think that wraps up about user-generated content. I think we've covered off what it is, you know, how best to use it, why it's great for your business. So thanks for coming in, Sam, to kind of talk about user-generated content. And thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of The Hop. Make sure to keep up to date with all the latest marketing trends and information that you follow The Hop on the links below.